I first came to Swami in the end of October 1979, and it was a difficult, very difficult journey. But prior to coming, I had uncertainties about whether I should be coming at all, because one starts to be concerned about whether Swami is really calling or whether it's one's monkey mind. And so I just said, Swami, I'm confused. Please tell me if you really want me to come. And 2 days later, I was in another city running a training program, and I went out to buy some lunch. I took my wallet out, and I had a picture of Swami under the plastic in the front, and I opened that up, and it was covered in vibhuti. It's one of those things, you know, you can read about it in books happening to other people, but when it happens to you, it really blows your mind. How can this happen? How can it finish up in my wallet, in my pocket, under the plastic on the photograph? Of course, that was enough evidence for me to go anyway. And it was a hard journey. I called it 5 weeks of mental, emotional and physical agony. But Swami put me through a lot, and when I left the ashram and the agent said to me, we'll see you again, I said, no, I'll never be back. As much as I love Barbara, I'll never be back to India. And of course Swami must have been sitting back laughing about it. And but a few days after I arrived there, Swami took me in and gave me a Rudraksha, materialized a Rudraksha, the tear of Shiva. And I think it's hidden away here somewhere. And that was, he told me to place that in water and drink the water every day, which I did. Other things happened. There was really a beautiful introduction to Swami, because after that, when I came back naturally, and after that I had many experiences with Swami, and it was going, he seemed to be giving me everything until 1983. And then I found out that there was such a thing as a repair shop. I like to tell this story because it makes us think about what we're doing. I was always telling the groups that I'd brought over here, don't worry, yearn for an interview with Swami. But if you don't get one, just accept that. Don't spoil your trip by getting all agitated and worried about it. So on this occasion, I had a group of about 32, and Swami called us for an interview. Up we went onto the veranda and sat there. Swami came back from giving darshan, and as he come past me, he looked at me and he said, not your group. I'll see your group later. And that's where the confusion came in, because we were the only group there. And what made it more confusing, that Swami then turned to the men in the group and said, go in. So then he walked towards the ladies of the group. So the men got up, I got up too. Immediately turned round, he said, not you. I didn't know what was happening, but fortunately the ladies got onto him and told him that I belonged, you see. And he looked at them, looked at me, and looked back at them again and said, is he with you? Yeah. I'd taken the group there. Yeah. So then he said, go in. So I went in, sat down, and no sooner sat down in the interview room than Swami looked in the door, not you, come out. Well, you can imagine how I was feeling by then. There was a state of stress. So I got up and I was coming out, and I was just to the door, and then he said, no, sit down. So I can't remember much of that interview at all, because I was buzzing all over. For 24 hours I was in the repair shop. I could think of nothing, I could talk to nobody, except why? Why is it so? It's for my benefit, but why is it so? At the end of 24 hours it came, and everything was lifted. and the workshop was finished. You see, what had happened, at the moment Swami said interview, I thought of my previous interview, where I'd sat beside Swami, and he would be talking and he'd keep rubbing me down the back of the head. And occasionally he'd turn to me and say, "Isn't it, sir?" And I'd say, "Yes, Swami," and put the head a little closer, you know. And so it was magnificent. Now, there's nothing wrong with yearning to sit near Swami. There's nothing wrong with yearning to have him stroke you down the head. But if you're a group leader, what is wrong is that you place yourself ahead of others in the group. Because I wanted to get right beside the chair again, so as I could be right next to Swami. So even when I did get there, he looked in and said, "Not you, come out," and brought me to the very back of the room and sat me down there. That's a very good lesson to remember, particularly if you're playing a leading role, that you must never place yourself first. You must think of others. Whether you're there amongst a million people or whether you're over in Australia, he knows every moment what's happening with you. If you see him, if you limit him by seeing him in India and seeing him only in that form, then we limit our access to Swami. If we know that that which he is, that which is expressing itself through that form, is in reality what we are, our own true nature. Therefore, he's there every moment and will respond every moment. Also see him in all ways, when he jokes with you, when he teases you. Or as one day on the veranda he called me forward. He usually calls out "lion," but on this occasion he didn't, he just beckoned. So I went up and he'd been inside talking to the students. I said, I just went on my knees before and said, "Yes, Swami." "Oh," he said, and so innocently and sweetly, "Oh, they just wanted to see you." Oh, I said, "Yes, Swami." So I looked in through the door, and there were great peals of laughter. Oh, and he smiled too, you know. I didn't mind, I got pada while I was there. But one of the students told me later, it said to them, "Do you want to see a lion?" So it doesn't matter what he's saying, what he's doing is absolutely beautiful and it's perfect. So we talk about all these little stories now, but the stories are fine and they're helpful, but we need to go beyond the stories. We need to say, well, what does all this do for us? Why are we here with Swami? Are we really living as he would want us to? Are we being the sort of devotee that Swami wants us to be? Asks us to be, sometimes begs us to be. We need to see what sort of things are happening in our lives, and then we will have a rough idea of whether we're being just the devotee. In other words, what I'm saying is how we're reacting to our life. Something was given to me back in 1985, 8 words. If you think about them, the whole truth is in them. All action is God. All reaction is man. You see, life's events don't have an energy of their own. They simply just come as a part of our life. What gives them energy is our reaction to that event. We can react badly, or we can simply accept it, that this is a part of my life. The illness that I've just had, someone would say that was very bad. It wasn't bad. It was difficult. It wasn't bad or good. It was simply something that had to take place in my life, and I had to go through with it. So the easiest thing is, when a life's event comes, accept it and say, this is something I have to work through, and it might be difficult, but it is my life. That's the simple part of, if we can only just do that. Why is it that we get upset with things? Why do we find even in our own organization there are arguments and there are differences and there are frictions and everything else? I often say that our organization is there for our benefit, to bring these opportunities to us, to lead us back to God. If only we could be like the mango tree. The mango tree doesn't say, here's Fred coming up the road, he's a nice chap, he can have a mango. Here's Henry coming, he's not so good, he doesn't get one. See, the mango tree is there for everybody. We need to be the same way. We need to be available to anybody to help, to be of service, to be a friend. But what happens to us? Oh, why do we get caught up in things? Because we think that we actually make things happen in our lives. That we go out and be successful, we can achieve this, we can achieve that. But this is not so. But the point is, because we believe it to be so, we also believe that others can make things happen, and the devils are making most of it happen to us. And we want to object to that, or get even, or be angry, or tell them off, or have arguments with them, or whatever is the case. And it's so simple. If only we could understand and grasp the fact that we can make nothing happen except our own misery because of our reactions to what is happening. I was talking at a girls' school one time, and I said to one young lady, what's your name? She said, Christine. And I said, all right, Christine. Now, I said to the others, if I come along and I give Christine a good kick in the leg and it hurts her badly, Christine gets upset about it. Now, it's bad enough that she gets angry, but she wants to blame me for her anger. Saying, oh, they all came in at once, you know, oh, but you kicked her. I said, yes, and I'm responsible for her pain, but not her anger. She could say, my goodness, Arthur, that did hurt. Or she can get angry and abuse me, and then I get caught up in it, and so it goes on. You see, the point is, we choose our own reaction. We don't sit and think about it and choose it. It chooses automatically because of how we are. Of how we are in this lifetime. Does that make sense to you? Yeah. Think about it tomorrow if you get angry. These are the things that we need to think about in life, of how we can be a better devotee of Sai, of how we can turn more and more to God, of how we can lead a godly life. See, there are things in life that will teach us. We hear so many bad things about videos at times, don't we? But I'll tell you one very good thing, because it's a great teacher. It's a good teacher because if you're sitting there watching a video being played on the screen, what's happening? We're glued to the screen, aren't we? Everything that's happening, we're watching it very closely. Totally. We're not sitting there worried about that part of the tape that's been played, that's already gone by, which we might call the past. And we're not sitting there worrying about the next piece of tape that's to come, which we might call the future. We're focused on what's happening on the screen right now. If we do the same thing with life, it makes it simple. We don't have to get caught up with it. We don't have to get so caught up with the world. We can hold the spirit. Think about what we really are. Not this psychosomatic apparatus, Or should I go further and call it something sweeter? It's only a food bag, that's all it is. It's all it is. It's a food bag that can be the temple of God, which is the temple of God, which we need through which to express that which we are.